Hello everybody, today we are here with Pauline Moran, who is from Liverpool, where we are now, and she's going to tell us her story that, she studied osteopathy and naturopathy, and she's a health practitioner. Before she was working in graphic design and textiles design also, other things that she's going to tell in a minute. And she also organizes meditations every week, so she's a kind of a spiritual person, right? She's going to explain more about that. If you are interested, follow us. To start with, tell us about your trajectory. You were also living in Israel, Italy, Spain, even in India sometime. If you can tell us about that before you came back to Liverpool and started like a health practitioner.
Okay, so I studied art and design, fashion textile design in Brighton, where I used to live, and I ended up in graphic design, selling stationery, cards and gift wrap design in Covent Garden and the King's Road in Chelsea, down in London, and also in Brighton. And again, I was a sole trader there, so I was a designer and there were agents, but the business side took off sooner than I expected before I had the opportunity to travel. So I kind of put that to one side. I also found the commercial dimension of art not quite so fulfilling. So I then began to use art as a speech therapy aid. I used it for language therapy for children who had specific speech and language disorder. So while I was working with children with the language problems, I also began meditation. And this coincided with an awareness that whereas I was very fortunate to be gifted in the area of art and design, something I'd done from childhood. I think I was drawing before I was talking. And in fact, as a child, probably drawing was like a meditation to me. So at around the same time that I was working with the children, which was for 9 years, it was quite long, it was a long time for me to be doing it, I, because of the meditation, became much more interested in natural health, because meditation is a huge form of preventative medicine. It's a brilliant way to stay well and not get sick, and to help us understand how we do become sick. So I wasn't thrilled at the idea of returning to university, and I wasn't exactly sure which area of natural medicine I wanted to study or practice. So I decided to take a few years out, and fortunately I was able to take those years out in Spain and Italy. I found work in Spain and Italy as a teacher of English. So I had 5 years to think about what it was I wanted to do, which new direction I wanted to go in. And the 5 years in Spain and Italy culminated in also a 5-week trip to India to do a 2-week yoga course in the yoga that I was practicing, and also 3 weeks of travel. So it was, a fabulous opportunity. And then when I returned from India, I was far clearer about which direction I wanted to take in the future. It was a very interesting experience. So I returned to Liverpool for a year to take what we call an access course at a local college. So in order to convert from arts to science. And I chose to do that in Liverpool because when I was living abroad I used to come home every summer, and although I left Liverpool as a teenager to go down to London and then Brighton, when I was working in Spain and Italy and I came home to Liverpool every summer, I fell in love with my home city. So I always had such a good time when I returned. So I did the Access course in Liverpool for 1 year, and then I studied in London for 7 years at the University of Westminster. And I began by studying osteopathy, and then I chose to specialise or major in naturopathy. So although I did study osteopathy, I'm actually a naturopath, not an osteopath. So, but it's really good to have that awareness of what osteopathy can do.
And you have worked also with people with dyslexia and children especially?
Yeah, I am very passionate about improving the academic environment for dyslexic students. It wasn't until I returned to university at a mature age, shall we say, that I discovered that I myself was dyslexic. So I don't have any problem spelling, but it doesn't impact on my organisational skills and other areas. So although you pass the 11 plus, you go to a top grammar school, the impact often isn't an awareness of the impact of dyslexia on studying rather than learning isn't always evident until towards the end of your school life, because that's when more challenges expose the difficulties that you're encountering at school. So I'm very passionate about raising the awareness of dyslexia when there isn't a spelling difficulty, and also improving the environment for dyslexics at school. And we're talking dyslexics, dyspraxics, dyscalculics. There's often an overlap between all three. And also looking at the health and well-being, the impact that the academic stress has on these often, highly intelligent, gifted students.
And when do you start organising these meditations? And why? What was the point? You said, okay, I want to start doing this.
To actually start running the classes in Liverpool. Well, it was because I was dragged to a yoga class because this was 30 years ago. So yoga then wasn't mainstream, and I thought you had to be a hippie to do meditation and yoga, and I wasn't a hippie. So I was dragged to a yoga class, and I almost instantaneously was aware of the impact on my health, because I used to suffer from migraines, and once I started meditating, I no longer had migraines. And if I did, they were certainly nowhere near as frequent or as regular. So I became more interested in the health aspects of meditation, as well as the spiritual benefits or dimension, and its beneficial impact on creativity and just general awareness about life. And then when I returned to Liverpool to study for 1 year before returning to university, the nearest meeting for this kind of meditation that I was practicing was in Manchester. And I just couldn't afford to travel to Manchester for one evening every week, because studying was stressful enough. So I bit the bullet really, and I thought, okay, well, I practiced this meditation now for 15 years. Somebody taught me for free, so perhaps it's time that I should do the same, because it's really nice when you meditate as a group, so it's a collective meditation. And I was very fortunate. I was offered space in which to run the class at no charge, no cost. So I was then able to offer the class at no charge, no cost. And it's been extremely rewarding. So I did that for 1 year before I went to London, and then when I returned from London to Liverpool, which is now 10 years ago, I started the classes again.
And what is the type of people who come to your classes?
The type of people who come to practice yoga. It's as broad a type of person as society. So it's a cross section. It's young, it's old, it's male, it's female. And they are people generally who are seeking something. You know, they may be quite satisfied with life as it is, but they kind of want something more. That, you know, things may be okay on the physical level, the emotional level, the mental level, but they are seeking something more, answers in their life, or answers as to why the world is the way it is. And also, in meditation, we enter a state of what we call thoughtless awareness. So aware of who we are, where we are, and what we're doing, but actually to be without thought. Some people call it mental silence, but it's a state of thoughtless awareness, which is massively peaceful, and to be without thought. And I often use the analogy that, you know, we take a shower on the outside every day, but meditation is like a shower on the inside, where we clear away the stresses of the day, the drudgery of the day, and get back to a very peaceful spot within ourselves.
It is a very good practice indeed, and more people are doing it all around the world.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you see the humanity if we continue growing all the people doing this in a global scale? There will be a change of the human consciousness, or how do you see what is happening?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, it is said that there can be no peace until we have peace within. And I firmly believe that. So begin with the self. And this is the self with the capital S. So when you have peace, that has an impact on the environment around you. And you then draw in more peaceful people into your life. And or you deal with stressful situations in a more chilled way. And absolutely, I mean, the yoga that I practice myself, Sahaja Yoga, that is practiced globally. It's spread by word of mouth. And now we have the internet, so it's spreading much, much faster. And I believe that although things look as though we're at a dangerous stage at the moment, that as we enter into a new level of awareness and consciousness that was probably glimpsed in the 1960s, but is now reappearing in a more mature form, that the difficulties that we see now, for me personally, my interpretation is that it's like the death throes of a dying way of living, of society, as we enter into a new stage of awareness and consciousness. So you have to clear away the dross in order for the new to appear. And the generations of youth now who are being born in the last 20 or 30 years, they were born into this different vibration, this different vibe, this different awareness, and they are accelerating this change in consciousness. And I personally I have no evidence, but I have great faith in the young in society now, because they haven't grown up with the history of society that we have. They know exactly what they want, and I admire what they're looking for. And yeah, I think they will be, the future is safely in their hands.
Hopefully, yes. I also I have the same opinion. What do you think is the nutrition affecting also the spirit, right? So it's not only to take care about the spirit and the mind, it's also to take care about the body. It's all connected. How do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. The expression in natural medicine, I can't remember who exactly it was who said it, but that death begins in the gut. So anything that goes wrong within the body very often can be identified as starting in the gut. Okay, sometimes it's our emotional life which impacts on our health, so you could say that starts in the heart. But how we feel emotionally can influence the food that we eat. It we are extremely mental in our lives, we'll be craving sugar to provide energy in order to keep mentally alert, to be able to be awake, to push our bodies beyond endurance sometimes. So how we feel and what we think impacts on the foods that we choose. And the foods that we choose impact on our gut environment. And there is a massive link between the brain and the gut-brain axis. So, particularly now that we live in, a world of fast food and processed foods, and which, we're eating more marketing than we are fresh food. But we can see this changing. So that has a massive impact again on how people live their lives, how energetic they feel, how comfortable they feel. We have an epidemic of irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, and other similar gut diseases. But as with anything in life, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So the more processed food has become, the more the organic movement swings back against that. So we are now in, corporate world, fighting against, trying to resist the organic growth of food. But I think people are marching with their feet. I'm particularly interested in the liver and its role in nutrition. So I specialise in liver cleansing, and I'm organising health retreats in the south of Spain, where I spent many happy years, for people who want to take a week out and not just go on holiday, but actually use their holiday as a way of improving their health awareness and their health maintenance when they return home from a health retreat. And by focusing on the liver, which processes everything that we eat, everything that we think, we feel, we touch, we breathe, by cleansing the liver, we then are enabling our bodies to maintain homeostasis, maintain balance, mentally, emotionally, physically, and with meditation, spiritually.
Very interesting. Do you support the vegetarian movement? Do you think it's okay to eat meat, or we better avoid it?
Well, I personally am a committed carnivore. And people often assume that if you're in natural medicine, you must be vegetarian or usually vegan. But actually, no. I personally believe that, and I enjoy eating meat, and it's a good form of protein. And obviously, if you're vegetarian, you can get your protein in a different form. But I have no qualms whatsoever about eating meat.
In my case, I don't eat a lot of meat, just a little, but still it's difficult to. I am from Spain, and the ham is too much to forget for hours. Come on.
Yeah, so I think so long as ideally it should be organic, and ideally good quality. And if it's organic, the chances are it will be good quality. So.
Pauline, what are your values, your vision, your mission? Do you have something like a statement?
A statement? I probably have quite a few actually, but my passion at the moment certainly is about taking the dys out of dyslexia. Dyslexia is a challenge, but I don't personally see it as a disability. It's a difference which is disabled in society, and certainly in the academic world. So unfortunately we're entering into a new language now of neurodiversity, right brain dominance, and many dyslexics, because they are rising to prominence, are being recognised as creative, innovative, problem-solving entrepreneurs. So we have enough celebrity dyslexic entrepreneurs for me to create a list, but also scientists, Einstein, artists, Leonardo da Vinci. So, but it's becoming more recognised that it can be an advantage. So taking the dys out of dyslexia is a huge passion at the moment, and probably, my prime goal. I'm passionate about people having access to good healthcare. So I do believe in our NHS. I do believe it can be improved, and I believe I'm doing my bit by creating liver cleansing experiences, informing people. As a naturopath, I not only treat, I educate a client as we go along, and I think that's very important, because I don't cure people, but I help people to treat themselves and improve their own health. So I don't believe any doctor or physician actually cures. So the health of every individual is in their hands, and with education their health can improve, and support and coaching and assistance. So taking the dys out of dyslexia, liver cleansing, and on the spiritual dimension, it's trying to be the best person that I can be. And if I, in some small way, can facilitate an environment where people can come along and find themselves, the self with the capital S, then I find that very rewarding, and I will continue to do that probably for as long as I breathe.
That leads me to my next question and last one.
When do I stop breathing?
How do you see yourself in the future? Would you like to stay here in the UK, or maybe go back to maybe Spain or India, I don't know, or any favorite place that you might have? And what would you like to be doing in I don't know, 5 years, 10 years time?
Okay. So what I have created as a business for schools around dyslexia, I don't think should be a business. It should be statutory provision. So I would hope in the next 5 years, or my goal in the next 5 years, is to have well-being for students, natural health and well-being, which begins with nutrition, implemented in schools. And I look forward to having 1 foot in Liverpool and 1 foot in Andalusia. So my goal...
Andalusia is part of Spain, if you...
Absolutely, yeah. Southern Spain. It has to be the south of Spain. So I would look to be... I never think of the word retire. So I would look to be working in health and education and running health retreats in the south of Spain. That's my goal moving forward.
That's good, yes. Thank you very much, Pauline.
You're welcome.
Well, Pauline, I think, as you said, it is time for a shower for the spirit, so for meditation.
A moment for the spirit.
Yeah, I think we can meditate now.
Okay.
Thank you all of you for listening to us. I hope you have enjoyed this interesting and spiritual conversation, and see you in another video.
Okay.
Right?
Ready?
Yes.
Just relax. Take a deep breath.